What did he have to say about the Freemasons? I mean, the Masonic Society and the extraterrestrial issue is a very important one historically, and even more so today. So, did your grandfather say anything about the Freemasons?
Yeah. He claimed to be. He was a Mason. I guess we know that for sure because we have the apron. My brother, I think, has the apron in his storage of the Masonic apron that he used or that he had, and also our mom was in the for women. I think it's the, I don't know, it's something of the star, the something star, Eastern Star, the group of the Eastern Star. That's what the women or females or daughters would go into. So she does remember being in that group. We don't know what level he was, but in the book he claimed that his great grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason. So you can see why being a part of that type of organization would help you to get in, have access to these other levels of secrecy within the military. And then he did talk heavily about that and their influence in these the Masons, of course, the esoteric mystery schools and all the ancient knowledge that they used, some for good, some for not so good purposes. So I mean, there are those factions and levels of secrecy all throughout the government, of course.
Yeah, that seems to be the two tracks in the classified world in terms of having access to these extraterrestrial related projects. Either you have need to know access because you're just so brilliant, or you're just so um, you have the necessary expertise that gives you need to know a particular area of a classified project, whatever that is. And on the other hand, if you rise to like 33rd degree status in the Freemasons, you also have access to these technologies, and you might not be in the military, but because you're a 33 degree Freemason, you can walk right into what is it, Hangar 17 at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and you can get in. Whereas if you're a member of the general public, you'll be shot if you try to do that. And that seems to be the two. That seems to be, even presidents can't get into these facilities. But either you have need to know because of merit, or you're like a 33 degree Freemason and above, and you can get in.
Right.
So, you want to elaborate on that?
I think that's an important distinction that people need to realize. It doesn't matter what your military rank is. The rank has nothing to do with what your security level clearance could be. Either you have a need to know or you don't. So I think that was a big part of how they were structured. It was so compartmentalized that you might be working on just one piece of a much bigger project and not even know what you're truly working on at the end of the day. I know the CIA, of course, is definitely, it has that level of secrecy and compartmentalization, and I'm sure people at lower levels don't know what they're really working on. But yeah, I see that as part of the reason why you get those clearances, and maybe having that access to the Masonic thing as well it gets you in quicker.
Yeah, and even if like family members were, like his great grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason, if they have knowledge of that, the history within your family, that also has some credibility to them wanting to potentially recruit those people. Derek, I think you would want to tell about when you were contacted by the CIA.
Yeah, I was looking for work. It was in like 2015, 2016, and it was interesting because I got a phone call and they claimed to be the CIA, and it was a recruiter. It was actually a female, sound like a younger female that was trying to, get people to join. And she mentioned about the position would be as an operations officer, and I would have to do a lot of intense training or, combat training, things like that. It would take a few years, but I think she was alluding to I'd go to some undisclosed place within the U.S. and train, kind of like they call it the farm, I think, in the CIA. There's a place where you do the training. So some place like that, I'd have to also be screened heavily from a background to get officially get in and go. But they picked me, who I'm sure maybe because for one of our grandfather, and maybe they knew that, I'm sure, but also I had been traveling quite a lot for work. So they try to target those that maybe will be able to fit into a job that seems just normal to their career and to their background. But at the end of the day, you're actually working for the CIA. So they actually said you would likely be going down to some South American country and I had a feeling it'd probably be Venezuela, and I knew it's probably not somewhere I'd want to live, but the pay isn't great. I knew that for sure. And I was like, I don't think I would want to risk my life for this, but they to give more credibility to that, they would say, hey, okay, if you want to know about this position, go to the local library. Don't look on the internet. Don't use any of your personal devices. Go to the library on the computer and look up the position. You can learn all about it. If you want to learn about the pros and cons, you can read this book that gives you a lighter side of what it's like. You can read this book that gives you like a some more dangerous, treacherous things that you do. But they said pay with cash, don't pay with card, things like that. So there's little reasons that made me believe this was definitely a real, they were really trying to get me in there. And I think at the end of the day, after a couple of phone conversations, they were like, well, you can't tell obviously anybody in your family except maybe your wife after you've been married for a while. But other than that, nobody can know. And I was just like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could live a life that way. And I'm sure they could tell by my responses that I probably wasn't made fit for the job, or probably I wouldn't be a good liar. Let's put it that way. So they say no. They didn't contact me after that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that does confirm that the agencies are looking for people who, through some kind of generational connection, they suspect can probably be trusted with keeping secrets. And yeah, okay. So just to clarify, with your grandfather, when you say great grandfather was a Mason, are we talking about his father, or his father, which is your great grandfather, or his great grandfather, which would, I guess, be your great 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 grandfather?
Yeah, I believe it was his great grandfather he was claiming. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So that goes quite a ways back. I mean, and he was German lineage, but from the Revolutionary War period. And actually, our dad, was able to find the family. He did a lot of research for our family tree, and when that was one of the lineages he could trace farthest back, as far as a letter that his relative, our grandfather's relative, distant relative, had of writing back to Germany saying that he was in the Revolutionary War, that he's okay, some kind of communication happening back then. So that was pretty interesting to have that. Yeah.
That is interesting. So there's some kind of Germanic connection there in the ancestral chain.